Good evening. The Dolores County Broadcasting Network presents the DCTV 4-H Evening News Program for Monday, February 5th, 2018. Camera people, Daniel. Video engineer and producer and sound engineer, Devin. Teleprompter and prompter, Myra. News anchor, Nick. And meteorologist, Hannah. This is your news director, Edward. And now, the news.
Good afternoon and welcome to DCTV 4H News and Weather Program. Help keep our kids' news show on there by becoming a sponsor. To buy sponsorship, just call 970-677-4119. This story is from the Denver Post. Nigel, the world's loneliest bird, dies next to the concrete decoy he loved in New Zealand. Nigel, a handsome gannet bird who lived on the desolate island off the coast of New Zealand, died suddenly this week. Where his soul has landed, the singles scene surely cannot be worse. The bird was lured to Manna Island 5 years ago by wildlife officials who, in hopes of establishing a gannet colony there, had placed the concrete gannet decoys on cliff sites and broadcast the sound of species calls. Nigel accepted the invitation, arriving in 2013 as the island's first gannet in 40 years, but none of his brethren joined him. In the absence of a loving love interest, Nigel became enamored with one of the 80 fox birds. He built her a nest. He groomed her chilly concrete feathers, year after year after year. The Guardian reported he died next to her in that unrequited love nest, the vibrant orange-yellow plumage of his head contrasting as ever with the weathered luminy paint of hers. Whether or not he was lonely, he certainly never got anything back, and that must have been a very strange experience. Conservation ranger Chris Bell, who also lives on the island, told the paper. I think we all have a lot of empathy for him, because he had this fairly hopeless situation. As he persisted in his fetal courtship, Nigel acquired something of a fan base. Manna is a scientific reserve that, like other New Zealand islands, has been a focus of replanting and rodent eradication efforts. Friends of Manna Island, one of the groups that has planted trees and shrubs, said on Facebook that Nigel won the hearts of members and volunteers who spent many hours every year maintaining the concrete colony. Another gannet spent some time in Manna last year. Unfortunately, it was he, dubbed Norman. Perhaps the saddest twist of this tale is that 3 other gannets settled on Manna last month. After conservation officials tweaked the sound system used to attract them, according to the New Zealand website Stuff, Nigel paid them no attention. It just feels like the wrong ending of the story, Bell told Stuff. He died right at the beginning of something great. Following stories from the Cortez Journal. World War II bombers once roared through the Grand Canyon. My dad grew up in the Great Depression. He walked railroad tracks to pick up loose coal that fell off trains. He worked night shift in Ohio steel mills. He could not afford college, so he attended flight school. Earning his wings, joined the Navy and went to World War II. When World War II broke out, he recruited into U.S. Marines as a pilot to fly photo reconnaissance in the South Pacific. He flew large, heavy, slow B-24 Liberator bombers that came to be known as aerial death traps. It's not known widely that the Marines ever had a photographic reconnaissance squadron during World War II. High-altitude photography made it possible to create maps of any area. The photographs could also be scrutinized for enemy troops and weapons, concentrations islands where future invasions were planned. There's no way of determining the number of American servicemen whose lives were spared by this system. My mother couldn't afford college either, so she lied about her age and enlisted in a flight school in Winona, Minnesota, not knowing that she'd be the only female in the class of handsome, dedicated, adventure-bound young men. That's where she met my father, but only after she had honed her own flight skills and became the first female to fly solo, or North and South Dakota. That may not seem like much now, but in the months leading up to World War II, it was an accomplishment. Probably the Grand Canyon enters in when he was stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Mojave, in Mojave, California in 1943. Family legend says that my father, who had a sense of humor, chose to fly into the canyon from the east side of the rising sun, which was the preferred Japanese method of aerial attack. His aurora so moving, B-24 bomber rumbled off canyon walls at dawn, terrified visitors on the south rim craned their necks to see what was coming. As the 4 planes neared the exclusive hotel El Travor, Captain Gulliford ordered his 3 other pilots to join him flying sideways through the canyon, displaying American symbols on the wings and fuselage. Recently, a Lincoln tourist yelled and waved, once identified as American. Canyon dirt rocks remained. Bright Sunlight flashes off pine needles in the early minutes of morning, but never again with B-24 bombers flying formation below the rim. The following stories from the CNN webpage. Busy hurricane season predicted due to La Nina. The Atlantic American season officially starts next Tuesday. Forecasters say signs point to potentially destructive strings of storms in the coming months. The reason for pessimism is half a world away. The waters of the Pacific Ocean near the equator are colder than normal, a phenomenon known as the La Nina. That means the strong jet stream winds, which other times near the Atlantic, are now a factor. They're key to the position of the jet stream. Oceanographic Bill Partners said as long as jet streams stay near south of the hurricane tracks, these hurricanes will come unimpeded into the East Coast and Gulf Coast. Last year, when La Nina was held sway, 14 tropical storms formed, including the killer hurricanes George's and Mitch. While Oceanographic said La Nina shows signs of fading, it's not receding fast enough to put a damper on this year's hurricane season. Of course, there's no way to predict the certainty where a hurricane will strike the U.S. mainland or anywhere else this year. But forecasters at the National Hurricane Center agree the current global weather conditions make such a strike more likely. The average number of intense storms is 2. We predict we're going to have more than 3 more of these intense hurricanes, said James Baker, Administrator of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administrations. Now here are dumb laws in Mississippi. 1 may be fined up to $100 for using profane language in public places. Private citizens may personally arrest any person that disturbs the church service. Car wrestling is punishable by hanging. Horses are not to be housed within 50 feet of any road. Vagrancy is punishable by 30 days in prison or $250 fine. In Tyler Town, it is unlawful to shave in the center of Main Street. A single man between ages of 21 and 50 must pay an annual tax of $1, enacted in 1820. It is illegal to speed. And now weather with Hannah.
The current temperature is 55 degrees. The high for today was 59 degrees. The low was 31 degrees. The barometer is at 29.89 inches and is falling. The humidity is at 20%. The wind has been between 1 and 8 miles per hour from the north. Gusts have been up to 21 miles per hour from the northeast. There have been zero hundreds of inches of moisture measured today by the DCTV weather station. Moisture for the month is 0 hundredths of an inch. Moisture for the year is 0.69 hundredths of an inch. Snow mixed with rain is falling from Washington into Oregon. Snow is coming down from southern Ohio into Montana and intact with Colorado and Kansas. California across the south of the country into Texas is clear. From East Texas into northern Georgia, there is rain and thunderstorms. More snow is found in Louisiana and into Pennsylvania and north into Maine. That up there. Oh yeah, South Florida has some rain. Now for your exclusive 5-day forecast, Sunday, snow showers, high 46, low 23. Monday, mostly sunny, high 49, low 25. Thursday, mostly cloudy, high 54, low 28. Friday, partly sunny, high 59, low 29. Saturday, 51, 27, partly sunny. CO2 carbon dioxide is one of the principal causes of climate change, and it is important that we report the CO2 weekly change. CO2 traps heat in the atmosphere, which causes climate instability, resulting in significant swings worldwide of moisture and hot and cold temperatures. But it is important to note that the overall long-term climate trend is that the planet is warming. The following are the CO2 numbers in parts per million. For the week of January 28th, this week, 408.30. Last week, 407.92. 1 year ago, 406.84. 10 years ago, 386.22. 50 years ago, 322.50. Thank you, Dr. Peter Trans of the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration, and Michael McGee of the CO2.Earth website for this information. Remember, you can keep our Kids News show on air by buying a sponsorship. To buy a sponsorship, just call 970-677-4119. Thank you. Now back to our news director.
That's the end of today's DCTV 4-H news program. This is your news director, Edward. Good night, and thank you for watching.